there. It appears we're live. Hi, everyone. My name is Miriam. I'm the founder of Getting Education Consulting. And today I'm just so excited to have Onimiya with us, who got into Harvard. So I know a lot of you have been waiting for this session. Sorry about the light, and the weather is a little bit dreary today. So just say hi, yeah, let me know if you're excited. Just drop an emoji to let me know if you're excited about this session. I'll be waiting for Onimiya to send a request to join, and then we can get started. I mean, if you're Nigerian, it's been a very emotional past day or two for most of us, and I just hope that this has even made you more, I would say, really focused about your grad school dreams and your future career dreams, honestly, because I don't want to get into it so that I don't dampen the mood of the session, but pretty much, Onimiya is on her way to Harvard in a few months, and her story is so inspiring. If you don't know about us, Getting is someone said UAR and not Nigeria. Well, whichever one you want to call yourself. So Getting is a social enterprise that helps Africans access, the best education opportunities around the world. We do this by supporting students who are trying to get into graduate school, whether for a master's or a PhD. We do this primarily through our graduate school Bootcamp, which is pretty much like a 3 months intensive program that helps you, prepare an application that cannot be ignored. That's how we say it. And we've had over, $2 million in scholarships. It's actually a lot more, but our record keeping requires some more work. So really, if you're interested we're waiting for Onimiya to join. Okay, I think she's here. Onimiya, please, can you just send a request to join the session, and then I'll accept your request, and then we can get started. So really, this session is about, hearing Onimiya's story. The interesting thing is that Onimiya was in the very first boot camp that Getting had in 2018. So she's our first set, and she's on her way to Harvard now. So I'm just going to accept her request, and then we can get started. Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Just send me an emoji to let me know how you're feeling today. Okay, I think we are here. Hi.
Hi, Miriam. Hi.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. I think you're perfect. Hi, how are you? So good to have you with us. Okay, I think Onimiya's network is tripping a little bit, so she's going to have to join us again. So if you know anyone who needs to be here, I want you to tag them, right? Tag them so that they can. Don't cry. Just take your destiny into your hands. Do you understand? Like, take your destiny into your hands, figure out what you want for yourself, because clearly we cannot rely on the people that we should rely on, which is the government. So it's really unfortunate, but don't let it discourage you. Instead, let it motivate you to, I would say, pursue your dreams relentlessly. So I'm just going to go live with Onimiya. I hope the network cooperates with us today. So I see a lot of you here, and I'm sure you're so excited to learn. All right, perfect. I think we have you here now, and I think it's perfect. Okay, awesome. Yes. So how are you doing? How's everything? How are you
feeling? I'm fine, yeah? Thank you.
Have you come down from
very
the
well,
high?
Thank you. I don't think you can ever come down for that high, but I mean, it's looking very real now, so yeah, I'm excited.
Amazing. Yeah. So do you just want to introduce yourself to the audience? Just tell us who you are, what your background is, and so on and so forth.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ezomime. You can just call me Mime. And I'm a lawyer. I went to the University of Lagos. And then I went to the Nigerian Law School, Lagos, and I just recently switched jobs. So I left Bawa Nigudalu, and now I'm working life easier for Nigerians and people all over the world. So the people that own buy coins, get cards, send cash, just a very, very innovative fintech. That's currently what I do now. Yeah, and I'm going to Harvard. I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here.
Yeah.
And I think I just want to, so you've told us your professional background. Can you share with us your journey to grad school? How long have you been on this journey, and why did you decide to go on this journey?
I mean, I think so. It started in 2018. Yes, so I went for the boot camp, and I think one of the most important things, I don't want to, let me just say this now because it's coming up. So one of the most important things I learned from that boot camp was knowing that I shouldn't have applied that year, and I wasn't ready to go. And so I started applying in 2019. So I applied 2019 for the 2020 session, and then I applied again in 2020 for this year's session, 2021. So 2 years actually, but the process has been 3 years and going.
Okay, so again, I'm just going to I usually like to draw lessons from what I guess they're saying. So you have been on this journey for 3 years. You didn't wake up today and say, I'm going to grad school tomorrow. You've been planning, you've been preparing, and you've been on this journey for a while. So somebody is asking whether the bootcamp is every day for 3 weeks. So unlike in 2018, we were still in the analog age. We actually had a physical class, with about 20 something students, and it was so amazing. It was like, a 3-course meal and all of that. Unfortunately, there's no food, but the benefit is that the bootcamp is now completely online, and it's a self-paced course. But the great thing is that you get an accountability group as well, so you're not going to walk on the journey alone. So it's really something that you can come back from the office, sit down, and do whatever it is you need to do online for the day. So my question now is, so you said you applied in 2019 for the 2020 session. What happened that session? How was your application process that year, and what happened?
So it was hard. It was hard. I mean, so I was working, I had like a full-time job in a very fast-paced law firm, and applying was stressful. You have to finish working and then focus on giving your best to this application. So I applied to 6 schools. I've always been focused on the US, contrary to what Miriam thinks.
No, we can talk about that.
No, I got into 5 of the 6 schools, and the only school I didn't get into was Harvard, actually, and it was the most painful thing. I think I remember calling Miriam, and I was crying, and I was just like, I really wanted Harvard, and all these other schools, it's fine, but I don't want to go there. It's Harvard I want to go to. And so it was a long process, applying to that many schools, having to, tweak your application, different application fees. It was stressful. It was more stressful than 2020, simply because, with COVID, we were all working from home. It was easier to kind of like plan your day because you're at home, so you know when to stop and then do your application. You know when to go back to work. So 2019 was stressful, and I would say honestly and objectively that I don't think my application was as strong as it was in 2020. And just looking back at how I did it, the kinds of things I put in my essay. There was a difference. I can tell the difference, just between the 2 years.
And what would you say that difference was? I remember when we spoke, I think one of the things I could sense from your application for 2020 was that you rushed it in a way. Part of it was like, okay, and I was like, how can you be submitting? You can't. So this is a tip for all of you. If you are very serious, especially about the top schools, you are not an island, right? You think you've done the best with your essay. You need to show your friends. You need to show people. You need to ask them, what do you think about this? People who know stuff, right? Not just anybody. What do you think about this? Can you give me, insights? So somebody's asking me if you had a first-class degree from university.
No, I had a 2-1 from the University of Lagos, but I had a first class from Nigerian Law School.
Yes, and I will say though, just by the way, not that the first class in Nigerian Law School is not good. It's great that you have it, but actually, when it comes to like admissions processes and stuff, your law school isn't really what they look at when it comes to your transcript. That's just the truth. It's still your undergraduate grade. So at the end of the day, a lot of people I know have first class in law school, and it's like, why aren't the doors opening for me? Well, it's because it's still your undergraduate grades, right? You still have to find a way to leverage your undergraduate grades. So my question is, what do you think were the differences between your 2019 application and 2020 application?
I think that, like you said, I rushed it. I definitely rushed it. I definitely could have put in a lot more effort. But also, I wasn't exactly sure. It wasn't specific. It was just like, I want to go to school. I just want to go to school. Just admit me. Let me just go.
Yeah.
Let me just go. It wasn't specific. It wasn't focused. It wasn't purposeful. It was just like,
amazing.
I'm a star girl. Just admit me and let me just go to school. So it was very rushed. I didn't take a lot of time, even with my references. I didn't pay a lot of attention into it. My essay, it was not 100.
I like what you said about your essays not being specific and purposeful, and I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of candidates make. We're in the boot camp. I know last year you took one of our courses called Writing Winning Essays, right? And what we've actually done this year is to take that Writing Winning Essays course and now compress it into our boot camp, because we realize that a lot of people are struggling. Yes, a lot of people are struggling to come up with a story, with a reason, with a purpose that is convincing, right, to the admissions committee. So what the bootcamp does now is, it basically starts from strategic decision making, and we're going to talk about why you insisted on the US, because I'm always very pro. Why are you going to this country? If you can't convince me, then that means you're following the crowd. You don't know what you're doing. Right? But with being very specific, what the bootcamp does is there's a comprehensive workbook that if you start to answer the questions one by one, just answer. We tell you, answer it like a stupid person. Answer the questions like you don't have sense. Don't worry, don't think about it. Just free write. Answer the questions. By the time you answer all those questions, I'm almost 100% guaranteed that you have a draft of your personal statement, right? And a draft that is impactful. Do you get? So I think being a lot of essays that I read, I can't figure out. There's something in the book we call a persona, and I'm sure you must have seen that when you took WWE. What is your persona?
Yes.
Who are you? You understand? If you don't know who you are, if you're giving the vibes of, I just want to go to school, I just want to japa, right? The admissions committee can see that. You understand? And there's no reason why they should back you over somebody else who has a more purposeful approach to their work. So I really, really like that you said it wasn't specific, because it's a big challenge most people face. So did you want to add something?
So I mean, people that have reached out to me to talk about, what did I do? How did getting help me? I always tell them there's this essay thing that they have. I'm not even sure what the name is, but I always say it's like writing winning essays, something. But at that thing, whenever they open it, I'm like, they had it last year, October. Yeah. And I'm like, whenever they bring it out, that course in particular, I didn't even know it was part of the boot camp.
It's now part of the
I mean, you should definitely like, it's something that really gave me what I needed to write, because I mean so the essay, the way the course went, right, you have to pick out, what have you done, what have you ever done, it ask you random questions like, what have you ever done in your university, even if it's the most stupid thing of like cleaning chairs or whatever, put it down and try and craft like a persona that is appealing to the kind of schools you're applying to. And it makes you start to think about who the admissions committee is going to be comprised of. Are they old women, white women? It was just mind-opening. It was amazing, and I really would recommend that to everybody.
And I really just want to add that a lot of us, when we write our essays, you are writing your essay for yourself, as if you are the one who is going to judge, right? So you know, just this point about writing it for the admissions committee is such a big deal. And also when you're writing your essays, or when you're putting your application together, you always have to remember that it's a competition. See, even if you had triple first class or double first class, you're not guaranteed a place. You understand what I'm saying? You're not guaranteed a place because guess what? You think your first class is high. There's somebody from China who has a higher first class than you do. You understand? And who has written fantastic essays better than you have. So what is it about you that is, you know, going to make you stand out? Another challenge I see with a lot of students is that they don't even rate what they've done. They don't know how to they don't value the experiences they have. They don't know how to package it. You know, we come from a very humble society where you're not supposed to blow your trumpet, you're not supposed to brag, you understand? But you're competing against people who come from a society where they're like, yes, I did that, I'm the winner, I'm the one, I'm the star boy, I'm the star girl, you know, and you're just being like, I beg, you know, just look at me, I have potential, have mercy on me. That doesn't make sense, not in 2021. So I'm just wondering, now that you're going to Harvard, number one, how did you even feel when you saw your admission decision, considering that you had been rejected in the past? How did you feel when you saw your decision?
So I'll just tell the brief story of how it happened. I think I'd gone out with a couple of friends that evening. So I got home and I just slept. And I woke up at like 4. And then I just, you know, when you're just checking your phone just to see, oh, do you have any emails? Do you have anything that's come up in the night? And I just saw that, oh, so the way they do it in Harvard, right? They just tell you your decision is available. You can log into your portal to see. And so it was like 4 a.m. I couldn't wake anybody up. So I called my sister. My sister is in Canada, so I called her. I was like, okay, maybe she'll be able to wake up and like. So I was like, it's out. I don't know if I should check it. You know, I'm so nervous. I don't know if I did enough. And she was like, okay, she'll stay on the phone with me. I should log in. So at 4 a.m., I opened my laptop. I started logging, and I was like, I can't see. So I was covering my eyes, showing her that like, what is there? I'm not ready to see it. And then she's like, check it. And so when I just saw the congratulations, I didn't even read anything that came up.
What else? You can't see now.
It was not congratulations. I was like, this is it. But it was, in fact, maybe top number 1 highlight so far. It was an amazing feeling. It was like, yes, like, you know, I got in. It was an amazing feeling. It was an
honestly
feeling.
It's a feeling that I hope everybody can have at some point. You know, it's not something you can describe. It's something that you have to experience. Honestly, it's like you know, when it's like a moment that literally changes your life. That's exactly what it is. So I'm just wondering, some people are asking if, you know, there are a lot of questions for you. So people are asking if you had to if you're on a scholarship. So what does the funding package for the Harvard Masters in Law look like for you?
And I think that was one of the, apart from the fact that it was an Ivy League school, I think that one of the major important things about going to Harvard is that once you come from somewhere like Nigeria, your funding is, they don't know that you cannot pay. There's no way you can afford to pay. So I think that, you know, that was another reason I was like, this school, I know that they're going to, like, I'm going to go. There's no two ways about it. So my scholarship, my funding for Harvard was, I'm trying to put it in percentage, and it was 92%.
Wow.
Like it's like the rest is like, so
that it will not be as if you did not do anything.
So it was like, I think I got 92%. 92% scholarship.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. So, and did you have to write
housing?
Did you have to write GRE, GMAT? So it depends on your course, right?
Yeah.
So
because I was applying for a master's in law, you know, they didn't need GRE, they didn't need like an English test. You know, they kind of recognize Nigeria as one of those countries that, and you went to the University of Lagos, so they know these schools. So I didn't need all that.
So see, in the comments, you'll be saying Jesus. Mime has been on this journey. She took the bootcamp. When we did writing winning essays, she took it. She has been on this journey for a while. She has been working for it. I keep saying the scholarships will not fall on you. There are people who maybe they even have 2 first class. They will not be jealous of her and say that but I have 2 first class. Why didn't I get into Harvard? Have you put in the work she put in though? You know, we have a poster that is coming out in the next few days. If we haven't posted it, we said, stop saying God when. Next year, you will say God when. 2 years time, you will say God when. If you don't take steps to move, nothing will change. That's the most important thing. And guess what? This is a risk. Were you guaranteed going to Harvard? Like, what would have happened if you were rejected again from Harvard this year? What would have been your game plan?
So, thanks to Miriam, right, and thanks to my rejection. Yeah. So I had a backup plan, right? I still wanted to go to the US. I still wanted to go to like a top school. So I had a backup plan. So I applied to a school that I knew that their funding was very, very good. Not as
Please,
good
which
as
school
Harvard,
is that? So that they will
knew
not
that.
say we're holding information.
So I applied to Northwestern School of Law, Northwestern University, the Pritzker School of Law. Their funding is really good. I mean, if you can, you know, go through and give a very good application, their funding is really good. So they had given me about 80% off as well. So it was like, that was my backup. You know, I was like, and I didn't apply to them in 2019. But this year, this application cycle, I was like, you know what, I'm going to have backup because, I mean, it will be good to have, but so about wanting to go and putting in the work to go this year.
Good.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that. And again, I'm not saying that, to be fair, I don't know, it's like our birthright. Every year we get people in Harvard, you know, they go to Harvard Law. We have at least one. I think there was a year we had like 2 to 3 people out of 6 Nigerians. 2 to 3, you know, we're getting alumni that went to Harvard. And my issue is that a lot of people want to go to Ivy League schools, but let me be very honest, the spaces are limited. Let's be honest. Let's not lie. The spaces are limited. Whether it's Oxford, whether it's Cambridge, whether it's Harvard, the spaces are limited every year. So the advice that I give everyone is that you need to apply. Put in your best application because it might be your turn, right? You might be the winner. However, you need to bear it in mind that going to an Ivy League school is not your end goal. And if you join the bootcamp, there is no way your brain will not reset with some of your decision-making processes. Going to an Ivy League school is not the end goal in itself. You understand? It is actually a stepping stone to your end goal, which might be a career, you know, upgrading your career, relocation, you know, breaking into a certain industry, doing whatever. It is a stepping stone. So if you've been consistently rejected, last week we had Kemi, who said she applied to like Oxford and Cambridge for years and years and years, and it just didn't happen. And then she focused on University of British Columbia. She got in pretty much almost fully funded. Now she's done with her master's, and the whole world is her oyster. Right? So if you keep applying to Ivy League schools and you don't get in, you apply the first year, you upgrade your profile, you apply the second year, you apply the third year because you really want to, I will advise you to re-strategize and ask, you know, just as Mime had done, ask if there's any other pathway towards achieving what you want to achieve, okay? So again, I'm not discouraging you because I went to Cambridge, you understand? So I'm not saying you shouldn't go, but if I had been rejected for 3-4 years, from Cambridge, I would have looked for another way to achieve my personal goals. Now, I want to go to why did you insist on the US? And we're going to talk about the, you know, lawyers and why I'm always very careful with the US market. Why did you insist on the US? And I know there might be some personal reasons, you know, just disclose whatever you're comfortable with.
I think that I just had this liking for going to grad school in the US, and for the longest time it wasn't even because of any information I had. It was just like I was like, oh, I'm just going to go to one of the Ivy League schools in the US, and that's what I'm going to do for my master's. And eventually, I started to find reasons why I didn't want the UK, and the major reason was I knew what I was capable of. I knew the kind of work I was in. I was in a top tier law firm.
Yeah.
And I knew that to get into the UK schools will not be my problem. Funding would be my problem. So UK top schools are fine, but their funding is very funny. And
Yes.
to get full funding, you have to do external scholarships. And those external scholarship processes was something I knew that, see, it's not something I can't carry,
Yeah.
because those are entire applications on their own that need and you are competing with, this is not just law, this is the world,
Yes.
STEM, MBAs. And, when you
Yes.
talk about masters in law, we're not the first choice, because most of the
That's
time
true.
we just think we're going to just, go and
Top.
just get some theoretical experience.
We don't have
Exactly.
any
It's not like
science.
MBA or STEM, all those, exactly. So I knew that the UK schools would be hard, especially if I wasn't doing, funding would be hard for the UK schools if I wasn't doing, one of those external scholarships, Commonwealth, Chevening, all those ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for Canada, I hope my sister is not on this live, but I
I hope
don't
she's
know.
not, but she's not there, but I'm here. Carry on for Canada.
I just did not want, I just never had that I want to go to Canada. The only schools I was considering, Toronto, I still
There's no
wasn't
funding at U of T for
too,
masters.
yeah, do you get? So I still wasn't too sure that this is where I wanted to go. So I always focused on the US because I knew that their funding was better, especially if you're not even looking at Ivy League schools. I know a lot of schools like University of Illinois that they give very good funding for people to come and it's basically almost fully funded if you put in a good application. So I was like, this is where I'm going to focus on. And so that's why in the second year I was able to kind of shift more to schools that I felt like I had a chance. So even if I was paying a bit, it wasn't too much, and I could get enough funding to go this year. So
awesome.
that's
Basically,
really why
you followed the money.
Yes, so
Good.
yes,
I love that.
yes.
I love that.
Yes.
So the thing is, for the US, it's not like women's of the opinion that I don't like the US. The US actually has the most scholarships. If you're applying to schools, even if you have a 2-2, we had a candidate last year who did our bootcamp. She's actually also going for a master's in law. She has a second class lower from undergrad and law school, and she's actually going pretty much fully funded to the United States for a master's in law. The other places you can see such kinds of money, you can, in Europe as well, some European countries, you're able to go to schools that are maybe, like either free or low tuition, that kind of stuff. But with the UK, you're going to have to pay most times, or you're going to really have to compete for scholarships. The only challenge I have with, and Canada on the other hand, has very limited number of law schools, right? And they also take a very limited number of master's students every year. I don't think all the masters in law students that are funded for the whole of Canada, I don't know if it's up to 100, honestly. And if there are 100 slots for research-based master's programs, they cannot give 90 slots to Nigerians. You understand what I'm saying? So maybe just like 10 to 15 slots, across the different schools. So quite frankly, when you're looking for opportunities, except you're considering like Asia, it's really the US. US has hundreds of schools that you can, if you sit down and you start exploring, you will start having a shortlist. Nobody's going to do that work for you. You're going to sit down and say, okay, let us start school by school. What do they have to offer? But one of the challenges I have with the US, so if you're like a STEM candidate, the US, hurry up, go there. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's your market. You need to go there. You're going to get like, post-study work, visa, extended, you are good to go. But for lawyers, the market, so for women now, you have to be very strategic in terms of what you want to do after school. And you have to start that discussion from now, not even when you get to Harvard. And this is probably something we can talk about privately, because the legal market in the US is a little bit saturated, and an LLM is not actually the accepted way to get into that market. So it's a little tricky. So that's why I always sound a word of caution. But I think with a degree from Harvard, you have the tools to hustle it out. You get what I'm saying? And, figure it out. One of the things a lot of lawyers are doing now as well, just to give you guys a tip, because I try to stay on top of these things, is after their programs, they kind of switch careers into something that is technology related, right? So not that they start coding or anything, but they just kind of segue into maybe tech policy or something that allows them, access the benefits that are available for people in technology. So you just have to work with your number 6, and bear in mind that the US students that you are rolling with and frolicking with, they have immigration status, but you don't, right? So I wonder, and we're going to take questions, lots and lots of questions. Send your questions. I'm going to spend the next few minutes on questions. But, one question I want to ask you is, what would you advise people who are on this journey? What would you what's the piece of advice, or what kind of advice would you give them, as they're starting their journeys?
So I think the first thing I would say would be start early. I started late too, but no, not as late the second time, but I still started late. But I would always say start early as you can, so that you are not rushed, especially if you have the time. So if you are working in a place that is not too stressful, even if it's just getting your documents over to the school, sending your transcript, like start as early as possible so you have a lot of time. I would also say you want to give as many people as you trust to read your application documents. So I use people that you trust, because you can't just give everybody, because a lot of ideas will be entering into it. But people that you trust, people that have gone ahead of you, people that you know that they have a bit of experience, these types of things, people that you value their opinion and you think, okay, they want the best for you. So I know that at least I had to give a lot of people to read, like, Miriam as well got it, but it just sends it. Don't help me.
I'm not reading this here. Sorry, I just have to let everybody know. Because now
people should beg Miriam.
Essays. You should not kill me. All the strategies that I use, it's in the bootcamp. Yeah. Like literally, if you just follow it, if you would see that it's just the same thing. There's really nothing. I don't have any secrets left. Everything, all the secrets is inside the bootcamp.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I think that another thing I would say is, it's one of two things, right? It's either you have some experiences that you have been through that you can repackage in a very exciting way. That's something I learned from applying this last cycle, because I learned that I had a bit of things that I can make them sound more funky. Yeah. I'm not saying lie. If you didn't do it, you didn't do it. But you just need to, spruce it up, make it look like, okay, you were a leader of this particular group in your university. They don't need to know that the group was made up of 10 members. It's not their business. It's what was the group doing? What were you doing? What was your role? What was your position? What were you trying to achieve? Yes, exactly. So I think that packaging as well is very important. Don't discount anything. If you're trying to build a persona as someone that is, very big with teaching, or very big with academia, you want to look at all the different times you lectured people and just put it there, make it sound very interesting, because they don't know. They're not going to come down and ask questions to anybody. It's what you tell them that they're going to read and try and imagine who you are as a person. And the other thing, I know that this is something that Miriam told me as well when I called her about not going to school last year. And she said to me that, and I told her, oh, I'm just going to wait. I think I'm just going to wait. And she was like, don't just wait. If you know that this is what you want to do, try and gather experience, try and gather, so what you need to do. Imagine who you call them receipts. Exactly. Imagine who you want to be to the admissions committee, and try and be that person from now till you have to apply. So if you know that you need to get this particular experience, start looking to get that experience so that you can put it there. It's not even about the timeline, it's that you did it. So she was like, make sure you don't spend the next couple of months and they apply again with the same type of credentials, with the same type of information. Add something, look for something that'll be more interesting, look for something that they've not heard before, they've not seen before, and gather that experience in that time that you're waiting. So you don't have to apply this year, you can wait till next year. You can decide that you want to do a bit more in terms of experience, or you want to do a bit more in terms of extracurricular activities, and then you can, you have something to write so that you don't lie. I don't
don't lie, please. So somebody asking that, can you tell us about extracurricular activities? Did you have any, and does it count for anything?
I did. And I think because I went to the University of Lagos, where we have a lot of extracurricular activities, and I think that I was also surrounded by people who were doing a lot. then in uni, you see that somebody is here. So you are ginger to, want to do more. I want to do this. So I
Yeah.
did. And I was very lucky because I got to have a bit of experience that was diverse, So at some point, they selected me when they were trying to start up the student union, they selected me and someone else from my faculty to sit on the committee.
Amazing.
And then I worked in the tax club as well. I was director of research for a year, and that was a big deal because we started doing the national tax debate with schools from across Nigeria. And then even in your office, I mean, we're all out of school now, so sometimes you think that you can't go back and redo all those things, but you find that there are opportunities that are waiting in your office. It could just be volunteer things that you package and make it look like it's more than what it is. So you have things of, you worked on this transaction, and transaction does not seem like too big a deal, but it's a big deal if you present it as a big deal, So we have transactions where we're creating documents for the first time, or we're creating a special type of procedure for them to do. Those are things that you can also put to show that you are doing some work in this field of study, So when I talk about specific experiences or extracurricular things I did, it's really just volunteer work. I mean, non-paying work, and even just in my law firm, I'm just taking on extra things that I felt like, okay, I needed the experience for my own personal knowledge, but it would also look good, in my essay or my CV to show that I worked on this particular transaction.
Yeah, and extracurricular activities and that's another thing we talk about in the bootcamp. You can't just be doing activities just because. If it doesn't add to your persona, you're wasting your time, right? And you would even confuse the admissions committee. So with extracurricular activities, you need to be very careful. It needs to all add to a very coherent whole. Someone says, I heard that Harvard interviews are most difficult to navigate. So with regards to admissions requirements, how do I need an LLB? Do I need to do an interview? Do I need to do GRE? I advise you to please go to the school website you're interested in to see what their requirements are. These things are, stated quite there. So Vanessa says, it seems like the bootcamp is focused on law students. Hey, I studied engineering, graduated with a 2-1, and I have little relevant work experience. No, it's not. If you go to our page, you're going to see all sorts of testimonials, MBA, MPH, biochemistry. I think a lot of law students just gravitate towards us because I'm also a law student, right? So, or I was a law student at some point. But the bootcamp is for every imaginable field. It's applicable to everyone. I'm just looking at your questions. Can one get accommodation funding in European schools? Again, the stage where we are with this, the level we are operating at, that kind of question, just check. What we are doing is doing our best to make sure that you are competitive, but there's some work that you're going to have to do for yourself. You're going to have to do some information gathering yourself. You're going to have to select what you are interested in yourself, right? We give you guidance, but you have to do the work. And that's something that I always emphasize. If you want to join the bootcamp and you think that, once I just joined the bootcamp like this, bam, this time next year, scholarship, it's not true. If you join the bootcamp and you don't work, nothing will change. So please, if I always say it's always like, Miriam, you're arrogant about this thing. It's not a matter of being arrogant. It's just a fact. If you do the bootcamp and you follow everything step by step, even if for some off reason you don't get in the first year, or you don't get exactly what you want the first year, you will be equipped to, definitely get it the next year. You understand? So you will be, because you will have seen where you made your errors. But if you follow through and through with your choice of schools, so there's some people that they keep insisting, I will apply to only Harvard, Oxford, and Cambridge. I will beg them, you can't do that. Apply to those schools, but you need to have a backup plan. You understand? Like for me, when I was going to, and I'm talking from experience, when I was going to grad school, I said, no. I was one of those people. I said only Harvard, Cambridge, and Oxford, 3 applications. It was a shocker when Harvard rejected me. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Do you know my CGPA? And that's why I always say that it's not about your grades. I had a first class from uni, like extremely high CGPA. Harvard said no. You understand? And I wasn't the only one that year. Harvard was very brutal to us that year. People that I couldn't expect to be would be rejected were rejected. So, but thankfully, I had Oxford and Cambridge. I got into Oxford, I didn't get the scholarship. I got into Cambridge, and I got the scholarship. Now, what if I wasn't lucky enough to get that scholarship? And that's why in the bootcamp, I tell you the different types of scholarships and how you need to combine them to ensure that you are not shooting yourself in the foot. So, no matter what, at the end of the day, you still need to implement what we teach, and you have to be extremely committed, right? You have to be extremely committed to the program. So someone says, as an undergrad in my final year, can I apply this year for grad school? You can, but I just think you should do your NYSC so that you don't have to be thinking about coming back, to do that. Do we have questions for Mime? Specific questions about her journey, anything, what she's looking forward to in Harvard? Any questions? So Benjamin, any chances for HND holder with relevant work experience? So HND holders usually have to do a pre-masters in the UK. So I think, or at least for the UK, I think you have to look at, doing a pre-masters or trying to get at least a bachelor's degree. Most of the master's scholarships are available for bachelor's degree. How much was the visa application? That answer is on the US immigration website. How long does the boot camp last? So the boot camp is an online program. You have access for 3 weeks, and then the accountability group starts for 2 months, because we want to make sure that by fire by force you will submit an application. So questions. So my question: how do you enroll for the boot camp? Go to the link in our bio. Someone says, how was your Harvard interview experience? Is there an interview for the LLM?
No, for the LLM, there's no interview.
There's
so
no interview.
I think it's the MBA that has MBA and other programs that have interview stage. It's just it's really what you tell them that they take. They're not looking for much.
So Uche says, can someone who has an LLB apply for a master's? Of course, that's a degree. So Charles says, did your experience in entrepreneurship help with your LLM application?
No, not for me. I mean, because I was telling them I was working in a law firm. So if it wasn't volunteer experience or extracurricular activities in school, I didn't really talk about entrepreneurship much in my application because of what I was focused on. So my essay was focused on a particular part, and it didn't follow. So I had to leave it out of it because it didn't apply.
Brilliant. I think a lot of people feel like in your application you have to talk about everything you've done in your life from the moment you had cognitive ability, and that is actually a recipe for disaster. So I always tell people that even for me, there's some applications that you would there's some things I'm applying for that you would never see me talk about getting because it's not relevant. You understand? You would never see getting on my resume. You won't see it anywhere because it's not relevant. But there's some things that I would apply for that getting will be first, top, left, right, and center. So and that's what we're talking about, building a persona. Entrepreneurship was not important for the LLM in this case. If she was applying for an MBA, perhaps she would have, emphasized that.
Exactly.
So, Mimi, there's another comment says, what do you think was the most unique thing in your application? What do you think was the most unique thing? That's a hard one. Is it just one thing?
Was I think what I would say, if what I planned for them to see when I was preparing my application was I was focused. So I had picked a particular, topic that had to do with, my current department in my law firm. I'd picked a topic that had to do with, something that affected Nigeria, that affected the world, that affected sustainability goals, development goals. So, and then everything I did was everything I wrote about was in line with that particular goal. So my personal story about my family life was in line with that goal. I tied it in there. That's the reason why I'm interested in this.
Exactly.
Goal. My work experience, my school experience was all like, I have loved this goal from time, and I want to study this goal, and that's the reason why. So I think that was the most unique thing about my application this year. It was very focused. It was very like.
Your application was one document. That's what we call the one document strategy. It was a single cohesive document.
Exactly. So anything that did not align with me being that finance practitioner that, you know, was trying to solve this particular SDG problem out. It's not important. It was only things that were
Beautiful.
in line with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I focused on. Every other thing, transaction wise, you know, the publications I put, everything was just about that goal. Every other thing, yeah, didn't make it.
And that's absolutely, that's a golden tip that you should take with you, honestly. You know,
Yeah.
someone says, is it advisable to send applications to the school as early as 4 months to the deadline? If it's open, that means you can submit applications. So
Yeah.
this is a very good question. It says, how did you keep at it? I mean, the research application process, there must have been times you were discouraged. How did you deal with that?
Let me tell you what I used to do. So when I was trying to write my first draft of my of the technical part of my essay for Harvard, I had one party that evening. So I told myself that if I don't finish this first draft, I'm not leaving South. So I used to put like targets and say, okay, if I've not done this, then this weekend I'm not, you know, going for this thing. Or if I've not done this, then I'm not going to treat myself to this. So I kind of always used to put small milestones that, okay, on this day I have to send it to this person to read. So if I've not done that, then this is, you know, my reward, or this is what I can't do, or I can't do. So that, because I started earlier this time, so I started like end of September, October. So I had, I think, 3 months or so. So I was, you know, and I'd done it before. So don't forget, I kind of knew what I was going into. So I was able to say, okay, this is what I need to do. My references need to go to the people on time. Like, so I kept putting small milestones to just tick that, okay, first draft done, references drafted, you know, all those types of things. So it was, that was the only way I could motivate myself to get through it and finish in time to submit, well in time to submit. Yeah.
Amazing. And I think that, you know, also one of the things that keeps me going when, you know, you're like in an application process or something is the fact that when you get your letter, you don't remember the pain. You will never remember the pain. Like, it's a temporary, sometimes we don't like to do that temporary sacrifice for, you know, a long-term gain. You know, it's not it's something that if you do well once, you shouldn't have to do again. So Kweku says, does the bootcamp only train students for US institutions? What about Japan? See, whether you want to go to Netherlands, or you want to go to Japan, or you want to go to the moon, or so far it is an application for a master's or a PhD, and human beings are going to read it. The bootcamp is relevant for you. So someone says, how does the bootcamp work? Is it online? It's completely online. No, the bootcamp does not cover IELTS training. We refer you to useful resources for IELTS, GRE, external exams. Our core focus is your strategic decision making in terms of the schools, the course, the country you're going for, and your application documents. Basically, your essays, your resume, and everything else, your references, everything else is supposed to submit. The external exams, IELTS, all of that, you have to prepare on your own, which I believe you have the capacity to. So someone said, did you have research papers in the past, and did it help you get in?
No, I didn't have research papers, but because of where I worked, I had the opportunity to jointly publish some guides on you know, banking and finance, and I did it. I think I did it 2 years back to back. So those were the types of publications I added to say, okay, this is why, you know, I'm choosing to write my application in this field. Yeah, but I didn't have specific research papers. I just had those, you know, articles and those guides that I had published with my name for my firm, and I added that as well.
So someone says, Prof says, what courses will we be taking on the 12th of June? On the 12th of June, the graduate school bootcamp organized by Getting starts. That's when you get access to an online platform where you can watch the course on your own time. You said Beatrice says she has a 2-2 in theater arts, but is trying to break into tech. Advice: I have 8 years experience in diverse industries. Then if you're an experienced candidate, it's probably best for you to see how you can, you know, segue your experiences into something technology related. And you might have to just go to school and really just start learning, right, from scratch. So school doesn't necessarily mean like a program. It might mean there's a lot of boot camps and trainings for people who are trying to get into tech, but you will work. Unique Forever says, is there any way to get relevant information on universities in US and UK for a legal PhD and scholarships? Researching schools has been frustrating. My team is probably going to flog me for giving this answer, but if researching schools for a PhD in the US and UK is frustrating, I'm not sure if a PhD is for you, because the actual research for the PhD itself is even worse. So if you cannot go through the hurdle of researching for schools for a PhD, how are you going to write your research proposal that requires research? So you probably need to consider whether a PhD is actually for you. Someone says, can someone apply without going to law school in Nigeria first? Yes, you can. You can go for your master's without going to law school. That's why I keep saying that at the end of the day, your law school really doesn't matter. It's good to do well in law school, of course, but with your undergraduate law degree, you can go. But I don't know why I would want to do that, right? I'd rather finish off everything I need to do here first. So Zoe says, what's the fate of someone who studied microbiology in undergrad, worked in a bank for a couple of years, decides to go back to science and medicine? Is there a way to defend this? I think the first thing, and we've actually addressed this in a portion of the bootcamp, how to navigate a career change. I think the first thing is, what is your perspective about this career change? If you already have a negative perspective about it, you cannot sell it in a positive light. So you really need to think about why you are doing this and how this can be spun into a positive light. Mimi, I'm going to give you this question. By early, how early should it be? I'm in my final year of my postgrad doctorate in pharmacy, and I'll be graduating next August. How early should I begin the application? I'm not sure what a postgrad doctorate in pharmacy is, but maybe you can just answer in terms of how early you think someone should start preparing.
Now.
Good. And that's why we're starting the bootcamp.
After the bootcamp. Yeah.
Exactly.
After the bootcamp.
Exactly.
Immediately after you finish the bootcamp.
Exactly.
It's never too early. It's never too
exactly.
early.
Because you still need to look for your schools. It takes time to select schools, to do all that research. People underrate how much time you're going to spend on the internet doing all of that research.
Narrow it down, find out the ones that give free application, find out the ones that you need to ask for a application waiver.
Absolutely. So I think we've pretty much taken all the questions that are, quite relevant to this live session. And I don't know if anybody has any other questions. I think, just to clarify, the bootcamp, it closes in 7 days. Once the doors are shut, it's short, because we want people who are ready to start early, not people who are like, half and half about it. People who are really, really interested in, they want to down the line this year. They need to level up. And I think with a lot of things that are going on, I'm not going to go into it too much. I think there's been no better time to invest in yourself, whether it is the bootcamp investment, whether it is learning a new skill that can be sold digitally, right? Or something that you are not confined to a particular market to offer those your services. Whatever it is, I think it's a good time to invest in yourself, just even as a human being. So if education is not the only way to do that, but if education is your path, or your master's or a PhD, then, the bootcamp will help you. But even if it's not your path, I think everybody, gone are those days when you just leave your career and your future to chance, or just expect that things will happen. It requires so much. Like, you have to be very serious about it. That's all I have to say, right? So, Mimi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We wish you the best. What are you most excited about for Harvard? And you're going in person, right? There's no more online school.
By God. Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Yes, I think we're going in person. I'm excited about meeting people from different countries. We have such a very diverse class, so I think it would be great to see, and be in a school where things work.
Yeah, and
before they take us off the internet,
you understand where the
school where things are working. Yes.
So I'm really excited for you. I think one of the best parts of this, I wouldn't even call it a job, of this ministry, is actually seeing people achieve their dreams. From the very first day that I saw you in the bootcamp, I was just like, look, you have a lot of potential.
Was after me.
I was after you. I was actually after you. I don't know why I was after you, honestly. I think about it and I still don't have a reason. But I was actually after you. And so she was there. She was coming quiet. I was like, this girl.
She was like, why? She now followed me on Instagram. She was telling me, what is that name? Why are you?
I harassed her for a bit.
No,
I harassed her for a bit. Yeah, but I'm just so happy.
I'm so thankful.
Yeah, I'm thankful. And I'm happy that honestly, I don't even like taking any glory because it's not me. It's you that did the work at the end of the day. So anybody, you probably been, a lot of people have invested in you from different places, but not only that, you yourself, you were a fertile ground. You yourself, you wanted to grow. You yourself, you wanted it, and I think you should be very proud of yourself, and we're so proud of you. Everybody at Getting is so proud of you. And honestly, the sky is just the beginning. Please, let's stay in touch. There's a lot of things about the US legal markets that you need to know. So unfortunately, David, the early bird discount has ended, but I can assure you that, whatever you pay for the bootcamp is really infinitesimal compared to the benefit that you're going to get. So I encourage you to get in. There's no guarantee that we're having a second batch this year because sometimes the second batch, might be a bit rushed. So even if we have a second batch, it would be sooner rather than later, but we've not decided on that yet. So get in while you can. Quick question, do I need to have options for schools before applying for the bootcamp? No, you can just come as you are and then figure it out, as you're doing the bootcamp, you yourself, you begin to understand that these are the schools I should be looking at, these are not the kind of schools I should be looking at. So this has been extremely pleasant. I can't believe we've been here for 55 minutes. Can we just wish Mime the best in the comments? Can you just tell her all the best? Thank you. And also encourage your friends to watch this live session. It's starting June 12. Registration closes June 11. So if you just joined the bootcamp, it is completely online. If you just joined the bootcamp, you would definitely get an acknowledgement by Monday. It's just $100. The video will be saved. Yes, the bootcamp is online. Please wish Mime good luck. And thank you so much for honoring our invitation.
My guest.
Please, by next year, by the time we're sending the people in the bootcamp, by the time they're coming to Harvard, we'll tell them, go to Mime, go and reach out to Mime. She will let her give you tips on how to find the best accommodation at Harvard and how to navigate Harvard.
Amen.
That's the prayer by God's grace. So all the best, and we're really rooting for you. No pressure. Please enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself.
I will.
Conferences, have fun. You really deserve it. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for joining, for being such an amazing audience as well. All right. If you want to join the bootcamp, just go into our DMs. We can chat with you and, put you through if you've got any issues and all of that. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.
How do I end this live session? This Jen, this is Jen. Which Jen are we now? 40 plus, 30 plus. All right, guys. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, let us know in the DMs.